So, welcome to this episode of Mentor Connect, where Virender Singh, who's here, and me interview um, basically our friends and also accomplished professionals who tell their story on this YouTube channel, primarily for students in the biotechnology field, but also open to other fields. And through the journeys of our hosts, of our guests, we explore lessons learned and what we could apply to this process. So for this episode, I'm delighted to welcome Ashok Hattangady. So Ashok, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome everyone.
Yeah, so I first met Ashok probably a year ago, maybe in one of the sessions that I was doing in one of the where we were talking about drug development, and Ashok was a very active participant, should I say, and asked a lot of questions. And later on, I got to talk to him, and over the last year, we've been talking almost every week, I would say, in multiple forums. And Ashok is an engineer, and he'll tell more of his background. And I think his journey is just absolutely fascinating. The conversations I've had with him range from health to how to live life correctly and philosophy and so many different angles. So I'm excited actually, Ashok, to hear about your journey from your perspective, because I know bits and pieces, but it'll be great to hear the whole story. So welcome, and over to you. And I don't know, Virender, do you want to say something about the Mentor Connect process?
I think Mentor Connect started in 2020. It was named Pice of Life at that time, but slowly we changed it to Mentor Connect. And over the past few years, we tried to interview people who are working at different levels, be it as a founder, executive, professionals at senior level or junior level. And we try to understand their journey from where they started and maybe where they are currently. And then it is followed by Q&A, as Naren mentioned, and a rapid fire, which Naren likes to do every time is there. And today, like, we are hosting Ashok, who has, I think, like, from how I understand is like his journey is from being an engineer, then entrepreneur, and then venturing into health entrepreneurship, I'll say, possibly in future. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the introduction. So we'll do a quick, sort of skim through my background. So basically, I grew up in Delhi, moved to high school in Bangalore, did my electronic engineering in Bangalore. I'm basically an electrical engineer. And then 1984, you're at the cusp of what you want to do. And I was very sure that I wanted to get into the sciences. My dad is an engineer. He's passed away, but he was with the Central Post and Telegraphs Department. He was a government employee, and I think his interest in engineering inspired me because we used to build a lot of stuff at home. Almost all our furniture in those days, you had these big radiograms in the 1960s and 70s. And listening to the radio in the evening was the big thing. So even that we built at home. So that's what I wanted to do. And after school, after college, I did my, after school, I did my Bachelor of Engineering in Bangalore. I went to BMS College. And then I was lucky to get an admission into the University of Texas in Austin, at Austin, for electrical engineering. So I did that. But midway through the course, I started, talking to my dad like, what do I want to do next? Because something, made me feel that I wasn't too keen on staying back and working in the US. Uh, I like the US as a place to study, but not as a place to live. And so we got this idea that let's do something and, do a startup. He was a few years away from retiring. And he said, let's do a startup. So I said, hey, that's fantastic. So we actually set up the startup midway through my master's course. So we decided through a series of accidents to get into electrical energy management, because in those days, Karnataka had a huge surplus of power, and the Karnataka government was inviting various companies, steel plants, chloralkali, chemicals, paper, sugar, to come and set up in Karnataka, saying we have a lot of surplus power. And the way it was going, the galloping consumption, somehow, my dad had this inkling that one day there's going to be a massive shortage. And I think it's, one of those fortuitous moments of being on the horizon, being in the right place at the right time. So we started this startup with a focus on electrical energy management. And when I got back, we had already registered the company. And, in those days, it's much better now. So if you guys want to do startups, it's like a million times easier today. But in those days, you know, uh, you needed a whole bunch of licenses for everything. It was, the late 80s, and license Raj was in full swing. And for anything in electronics, you needed imported components, because in India, you didn't get any of these parts. And uh, that's how the story began. And we were lucky to get a very, very good venture capitalist who funded us, who heard our story. So if you're interested in startups, you want to do something on your own, we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the Q&A. But I'll just fast forward to saying that we started the company in 86. I graduated and came back to India in 87. And by 92, we had full-fledged venture capital from Mr. T. Thomas, who was the chairman of Unilever India. In those days, it was called Hindustan Lever. And the youngest chairman and the only Asian chairman on the board of Unilever UK. So he finished his term, got back to India, and decided to start a venture fund. And we were the first investee companies. And it was wonderful having him as an investor, because he was a very visionary investor. And I think a lot of things we did was simply because of the confidence that he had in us. So Virender had circulated, so they did a documentary uh, film, because we had become a Harvard case study in the early 2000s. I think they were teaching it from 2008 or 9 up till a few years ago. We replaced JetBlue actually as a case study at Harvard. So, yeah, we're quite lucky to have gone down that success story. Uh, so let me back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about our growth. So we actually started, with my cousins doing the marketing for us. They were a very well-known builder in Chennai. And along the way, there was a lot of difference of opinion, because we realized that the vision needed for technology products is very, very different from the DNA of buildings. And we split, and that's when Mr. Thomas invested in us. But it was a very difficult initial 4 or 5 years to go from loss making to profits, because we had set up a bar very high. We were absolutely sure that we wanted a very ethical company. We wanted a culture of zero bribery and corruption, and we were very, very focused on developing our own technology. We didn't want to do any screwdriver technology. Both my dad and me were hardcore engineers, right? So what else would such a company do? Uh, so from those days, we were lucky to be able to do very, very innovative products, technologies, and exercises for developing our corporate culture. And we were able to achieve a compound annual growth rate of 25%, going up to about 35 to 40%, even through the 2000 Lehman Brothers crash. It just didn't disturb the market the way we had worked it out. And we grew to a market share of about 38%. Not just in India, but we grew to selling in Asia, and became a global energy management company. We were selling in about 38 countries, including Europe, in the US, China. We had 5 international offices, about 400 people worldwide. And I think by 2008, we were taught as a case study at Harvard Business School, Babson College, and so on. So that's in a brief nutshell about our company. But in the initial years, we hadn't got the formula right. There were a lot of mistakes made. My dad wanted to be a very small South Indian company, but that eroded our market share. Family ownership went from 100% to 25% in 3 years. As the venture capital fund invested more money, the founder shareholding comes down, right? So then along the way, if you watch the movie, you'll have seen how the new branding, the new identity, and we went on from becoming an energy meter manufacturer to India's and then Asia's largest energy management company. And in 2009, one of our partners, which was Schneider Electric, it's a French multinational, we had actually grown very, very big. And for my wife and I to run the company, it was exciting very professionally, but I was doing like 18-hour days, 20-hour days, right? There's a point up to which you can do it. So Hema said, before your health goes completely, I had allergies from childhood. By 40, I'm 64 now. Uh, so by 40, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's hypothyroiditis. It just got worse. I was putting on a lot of weight. My allergies had got worse. I had developed a lot of autoimmune conditions, and all this becomes very stressful because it's exciting, but then if you keep burning the midnight oil night after night, it definitely takes its toll. And finally, in 2008, we decided to sign this deal with Schneider Electric. They've been pursuing us to do at least a joint venture or a partnership of some sort for many, many years. We had also got offers from GE, Honeywell, half a dozen other companies. But what we felt was that for our team, which was more like a family by then, uh, this French company was the closest in terms of family values, work-life balance, and so on. And that's how we exited to this MNC. And fortunately, conserved products were being sold under the conserve name. Even Schneider maintained the conserve name on their packaging, I think till about a couple of years ago, because somebody showed me, hey, do you know it's still called conserve? So that's how strong the brand had become. And that was a wonderful story. So I'll skip through some of these details, and we did a very large range of very innovative corporate culture and management, technology management, as well as corporate management practices, because we had a very, very diverse workforce. We had shop floor workers, we had sales, admin, back office, and we had very, very technical R&D people. We were in different geographies, we were different languages. Uh, if you look at UI, the way it's perceived in different regions, the regional perceptions are very, very different. Like in many countries, when we write and read, we go from left to right, but in the Middle East, they go from right to left. Uh, so when you work out rules for precedence, you work out the way the UI is supposed to work, and so on. This was in the 90s, long before the newer devices and smartphones. There were no mobiles, there was no internet, there was no email. So we had done a lot of very innovative design to have one product, one platform which could be sold literally under a dozen different international certifications. So we had IS, the BIS for India, we had CE and IEC standards for Europe, we had UL for the US, we had CTIC for Australia, we had CEI for China. So we were one of the few Indian companies that were selling an Indian brand in volume in China. So that taught us a lot. And I think circumventing this to be able to do a kind of a universal platform actually gave us that kind of logistic strength, because we could ship the same product to any country. We decided right up front never to have a India version and a US version, or as people often say, export version, right? So we never did that. So what we sold in India was exactly the same as what we sold in the US. Oh, let me show you a couple of pictures of our campus. So we had a huge 6-acre campus in Electronic City, and so we said, we don't want any of those glass and chrome buildings. So we had buildings that looked like this. This was our manufacturing center. This was our R&D and technology development center. We had a learning center where we ran training programs, and it was kind of a guest house come learning center, so the faculty could actually stay at the back. So that was very convenient, because Electronic City, even in those days, was not very closely connected. So we could have early morning sessions, we could have late evening sessions, and they just stayed there. So this was very nice. Yeah. So after we exited, I gradually got into more interested in health, because my health had actually deteriorated a lot more. I look much younger now than I used to look then. So I'd lost my hair. What little was left of it had become white, as much fatter, and quite sick 2-3 times a year or more. And the doctors kept increasing the medications, they kept increasing the dosage. I was put on thyroxine, then I was put on statins, they increased the dosage, and I just got sicker, right? So during COVID, I said, now, I have enough time, let me start focusing on why it's happening. Because if I ask them, when do I get better? When can I stop the medicine? The answer is it's lifelong, right? So allopathic medicines never stop. So I said something is wrong, because our father had brought us up on homeopathy and traditional medicines, and I had learned a lot of that. So I said, let me start finding out more about it. And gradually, I found that there are 4 or 5 things which contribute to high levels of inflammation and endotoxemia. And this is actually maybe the main cause why our immune systems are not functioning as well as they should. So let me just briefly go through the the journey that I discovered. I'll just share this screen. I found that there are three or four things which uh, make a big difference in terms of uh, the daily makeup of our health. It largely depends on the diet. That was the biggest contributing factor that I found. So back until then, the focus was eating healthy based on what my doctor told me. And what my doctor had told me was a low salt, low fat diet, a high level of carbs, lots of water, lots of small frequent meals like every 2 hours, a huge breakfast. And I realized that many of these are well meaning but quite misplaced. And I started finding out that, sodium in the salt is needed to manufacture hydrochloric acid, which you need for digestion. So a low salt diet automatically means weak stomach acids. Uh, the iodized salt, which I was told saying that iodine is good for the thyroid, was again misplaced because iodine fulminates. Iodine fulminates at about 100 to 120 degrees. It's got a band. You know what fulmination is, right? So basically, it evaporates. So all the iodine in the kitchen, in the food, is basically in the walls and the chimney, I suppose, not where it's meant to go. Fats, we were having a lot of vegetable oils, and I discovered that vegetable oils are very high in omega 6s. Okay, so that gradually made me analyze and change the diet. It also made me change a lot of the earlier habits which I had, which was causing unnecessary stress and inflammation. Uh, So I think, a very competitive lifestyle basically makes us very pro-inflammatory with unnecessary stress. And one of the things I realized through this journey is that whatever is going to happen, whether you stress about it or not, right? So that was a major learning in my 50s. And I said, there's no point stressing about it because you can't change the future. You can improve your odds, but you can't really, change the future that's written for you. So at the end of the day, I think I developed two habits. One, at the start of the day, I would do a brief prayer saying, let me visualize the day and let me be the best version of me that I can. And at the end of the day, every day, I do a brief review to see tomorrow what should I do better. And simple things, small things. Maybe I wasn't very helpful to someone. Maybe I lost a lot of opportunities where I could have done something better. So it puts you in your place as a very insignificant being in the universe. And then one realizes that, all this gung-ho that I am going to do this tomorrow, I'm going to do that tomorrow, it's finally God's plan. It, you know, we can do our best, but what's going to happen is going to happen. The biggest lesson was, the biggest learning was we keep forgetting to breathe deeply. We keep forgetting to breathe the moment you're working on something. So I developed this habit of keeping one hand on my navel. So when you're doing a very relaxed breathing, the chest doesn't move. Your navel goes up and down very slowly. If you're doing, very rapid chest movements, then there's something wrong with the breathing. You need somebody to show you how to breathe properly. So I started doing pranayama. I realized that we don't need stimulants. I stopped doing frequent meals. And the opposite of that is the anti-inflammatory practices that I started developing during COVID. So we had a Himalayan yogi actually teach us pranayama. He said, "Oh, don't worry about this COVID and all that. You just do these exercises." So that develops, these yogic practices develop a very, very strong parasympathetic nervous system. And a strong parasympathetic nervous system is the master regulator. And it actually changes the way that your genotype expresses. If you do these practices, some of the transcription factors actually change. I've seen genes which were expressing themselves through all the autoimmune conditions that I had, they just went away. I never took gene therapy. I never took medications. I never did any of the things which we study about in immunology. But they just went away. It took me 2 weeks for the initial changes, and then I found that I was over medicating. The previous dose of medication need to be removed because I was taking high levels. I was taking 150 micrograms of thyroxine, and my TSH levels had dropped to zero. You're normally supposed to keep them in the range of 2, 3, 4, maybe not more than that, but they had completely dropped to zero. And I found that because of these changes, the body didn't need that much of thyroxine. And then controlling the medication once you're on it is very, very complex. So it took me 2 years to taper it down from 150 micrograms to 50 micrograms because you don't want to play around and take risks with that. Uh, so by at the end of 2 years, I was completely off all my medications, no thyroxines, no statins, no nothing. So for the past 2 years, I've been absolutely fine on my own, absolutely no medications at all. Just through diet, prayer, pranayama, sleep, meditation, uh, and basically it triggers a very low cortisol response, very calm, very effective. You're all familiar with exam fear?
Of course we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
what
we've
makes
been
us
through.
what makes us forget the moment we're in the exam, we forget all the stuff we learned, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Most
cortisol response. So, we tend to go through life in this panic mode. And then I realized that once you do all this strong anti-inflammatory practices, breathing, pranayama, remembering to breathe, the mind is very calm, very active, and you never have this situation that you come out of the exam and immediately remember all the answers as soon as the exam is over, right? So it's much better to remember it during the exam. So that was the difference it made. And my earlier theory was I need only 4 hours of sleep a day. And I found that one actually needs 8 or 9 hours. So I stopped sugar, starches, completely no grains, stopped nightshades and chilies, uh, and instead of that, moved to eggs for protein and lots of aromatic spices and uh, greens and veggies and fruit. No packaged foods, no Swiggy, Zomato deliveries. And I actually found that it is much faster if you understand how to prep meals. I do a lot of cooking, so I just had to, change the concept of our traditional meals. And along the way, I discovered that our so-called traditions are just about 150 years old. You dig deeper than that, we were doing something completely different. And I gradually changed from healthy eating to this concept of healthy fasting, uh, which basically means how do you plan a meal which is so nutritionally dense that once you've had that, you're satiated for the next day or two. So how do you plan a meal which is geared up towards fasting? So I started thinking of it as healthy fasting rather than healthy eating. And the four things which happened as a result of that was firstly, what I call deglycation. I don't know if that's the right word. We're still figuring out what the term for that should be. But deglycation, proper membrane permeability. So both of you have biotech backgrounds. We can talk about that if there's time. A strong parasympathetic nervous system and a very natural lifestyle. Sleep and rise with the sun. I just want to show this picture in closing. On the right is the pulmonary aorta of a 80-year-old man, and on the left, it's a teenager. He died from another cause. I think it was an accident, but he was otherwise healthy. It's the same pulmonary aorta. And on the right, we see a very, very highly glycated and, hardening of arteries, right? So this is what a hardened artery look like. So if you see uh, these brown patches is what is glycation. So glycation is the non-enzymatic binding of polysaccharides onto the tissue, and it undergoes a Maillard reaction. And a Maillard reaction is actually the reaction when you cook meat. So if you think of a crisp teriyaki chicken, this is what your flexible aorta ends up being, just because of the starches that we consume. And glucose is glue. It's sticky. It's extremely sticky. And the moment I started seeing these dissection pictures, I was completely horrified. Uh, the yellow patches are cholesterol deposits which have got stuck onto it. And then these are calcifications. The whitish patches are calcifications. So nanohydroxyapatite comes and starts growing on it. There are various reasons why it happens, but the starches are actually the digestible polysaccharides are at the base of it. So I have a couple of these slides on bad foods, good foods, and what the daily habit should be. And what I'd like to do is, depending on your interests, these are very deep dives. So we don't have time to go through the whole thing, but ask me questions and I'll try and answer, and then I'll show you slides which support that.
Wonderful. So thank you. Maybe you can unshare, then we can have a conversation.
Yes.
So maybe I'll get started, and maybe we can ask you related questions. So first of all, thank you for giving such a diverse background, first of your engineering and entrepreneurship career, which obviously was extremely successful. So congratulations on that. And
Thank
then
you.
another congratulations for figuring out your health from a completely miserable state to I've seen you and talk about it, and to a completely healthy state. So
I think I applied the same engineering principles to my health.
exactly. I think it needs the engineer to study the biology. Actually, many of my engineering friends tell me that the time has come for engineers to study biology, because the biology is getting so complex. So I guess let me start the questions. I think you did mention, I have more questions on the health side. You did mention that you had to do an introspection to see what you were doing, and through your readings and traditions, you came to this conclusion that all of these parameters that you're measuring allowed you to become a healthier life. I guess the question, I think that all of us have, including me, is I don't have I have very little willpower to be able to do this. I can't resist my sweet. So what do you do to make it happen? Even I know this is the right thing to do, but how do you get your mind to get into that space?
I think that is the core of this concept of healthy fasting. So healthy fasting, I don't know what's the right word for it. I can't think of anything better for the moment. But, the concept of healthy fasting is something like this. If I turn the idea of a meal on its head, and instead of asking, what can I eat now that tastes good? If I ask myself, what can I eat now so that I don't have to eat for the next 2 days, right? That answer is going to be very, very different. I'll give you a quick glimpse of this meal. My typical meal is one meal a day. I eat only once, and that's it, which is typically midday. So 12:30, 1:30, whenever I get a break and I'm very hungry, this is what I eat. And this is the most convenient thing which you can even pack in a dabba and take with you. It doesn't need any elaborate setup. So if I'm outside, I just pack it in a box. If I'm at home, I just put it in a bowl. No washing up, one spoon, one bowl, maybe pop it in the microwave, you're done. So I start my meal with 2 or 3 eggs. Now, the eggs are specific. I have developed with a friend of mine who's a founder of a poultry. It's called Happy Hens in Bangalore. So Ashok Khanna, he's also Ashok. Uh, we were talking for a long time, and this debate about his eggs were 25 rupees, the local eggs are 10 rupees. Nobody buys 25 rupees eggs, Uh, so I said, look, it makes such a big difference because I can't eat those corner shop eggs anymore because they're highly inflammatory, they're highly lacking in nutrients. Uh, but the moment you eat a pasture egg, uh, there are three things which are very different. One, the hens are running around, they're up at dawn, they're following their natural. So just like us, the hens are following natural life cycle. The second thing is they're not stressed. They're very happy. In fact, they're very aggressive. Uh, if you go to a poultry farm, which I suggest you do, you'll be horrified at the state of those hens. They're bald. Their head. They've lost their feathers. They cut the wings. They cut the beaks. They crowd them, and the place stinks to the high heavens. You can't step inside. It's And the reason they give them antibiotics is so that they don't die from the unsanitary conditions. And that's what we eat. So, then we expect to stay healthy. How can it be, right? Uh, so here, the breed of hens is very different. He told me the name, but I forget now. So these are huge brown hens. You've seen these pictures of these cockfights, right? Those huge
Mm.
brown hens. And the feathers are tinged with blue and green, and they're pretty aggressive guys. If they don't get what they want, they're going to kill the other bird. Uh, those eggs, you eat two or three of them, you really don't need a meal for a long time. It's as simple as that. Firstly, they have a high level of phospholipids. So we are talking about maybe a couple of 100 milligrams, 60 to 100 milligrams. So you have phospholipids, you have DHA. DHA is the active omega 3s.
Yeah.
If you look at EPA, ALA, alpha lipoic acid, those are the inactive components. The liver needs to convert, and a healthy, active, young liver will convert 3% to DHA. That's it. So a healthy pasture egg gives you a lot more than that. I cook it in butter or ghee. It's again pasture. It comes from a farm in Polachi, not grain fed. And the rest of my meal is a lot of greens and veggies. So greens and veggies have a lot of undigestible starch. So my intake of digestible starch is zero, literally zero. Those are the three things which make up the meal. And if you have a meal like that, I guarantee you won't feel like eating for the next day or so. Try it.
Yeah, I'm going to meet you on Sunday, so we'll chat.
Sunday. Oh, yeah. We can do that.
Shamim has a question.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for the session, sir. It was very insightful. So I have a question regarding healthy lifestyle and all. I sleep 7 to 8 hours a day, so I can tick that box. The one thing I I have a question on is that my cortisol levels and stress. Actually, I have joined a job recently, so I think my thought process is of for betterment of myself only, like how I'm gonna get into a good company or how I'm gonna grow out of this. But in that process, I stress myself, and on the other day, I was messaging Narendra sir saying that I badly need a mentor to guide me in my career. I want to grow, like something very something like very stressful. So how do you control that? So I know that it's betterment of me, but at times I'm grateful for being that job only. Like one days I feel very grateful for that, but one days I will be very stressful to grow, like something better than like being better than like now. So how is like how can we manage stress like in this
So I think
perspective?
there's no easy answer because a lot of it is understanding yourself, right? So everything that you do takes you a
Yeah,
little closer to understanding yourself. And the
yeah,
more that you're doing things on your own, so I went alone at a very young age. I lived in the US. I was on my own doing, uh, it makes you learn about your likes, your dislikes, and what makes you happy. So I think the
Yeah.
first thing you need to understand is what really makes you happy. If you find a job which is somewhere close to that area, you're going to be far, far less stressful than a job which you're doing just for the sake of a career. I know we all need a career.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we have bills to pay and everything. But I think spread your antenna wide, make a circle of friends, wide range of interests. So I think for me, one of the things which helped me a lot is I have like 100 different hobbies, right? So from cooking to brewing to sports to photography. Um, I've done these. I know them fairly well, and in my early days, they were very, very helpful because we had to make our we couldn't go to advertising agencies, we couldn't go to marketing agencies. So I was doing not only product design, electronics, but I was also doing the packaging. I was doing the ergonomics, uh, the brochures, the photography for the brochures, everything. You'll be surprised where all these become useful. See if you can keep a little time to develop what would you call it, adjacent skills.
Yeah, hobbies. So, Shamim, I'll connect you to Ashok, and you can actually have a more detailed conversation about this part later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sir.
Let's
Yeah.
have
sure.
Ganesh have the
So,
question, and then I'll do the rapid fire. Yeah.
Yes, sir. What I want to ask is that I would ask you give some advice on the how person like me, the early career starter, should manage the career with the personal well-being and health perspective.
Could you say the last part? You want a career in well-being, or you want a
Yeah,
good career
I mean,
with
a
personal
person
well-being?
who is a early career stage and want to manage the career growth as well as the
And
healthy.
stay healthy in the process. Yeah, I think that's very important for all of us. I think a lot of it depends on your network and the people you follow. So, do you have a LinkedIn account? I'd suggest this for all young people. How good is your LinkedIn account? Use AI to analyze your LinkedIn account. There are lots of, if you Google, how do you use ChatGPT to analyze your profile? Typically, what would automated profile search engines do? So use AI to analyze your profile. And if you find that you haven't brought out your key skills and your key achievements in the first few right on top, somebody who potentially could have looked at your profile with more interest is going to move on in within a few seconds. So how long is somebody at a senior position going to spend on your profile page? It also depends on how whom you follow. uh, so make sure that you're following the right people, because that also contributes a lot to the profile page. LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. Evaluate whether LinkedIn Pro helps, but I think that's a very, very good starting point, and it's a very easy way to connect with people that you follow. The second thing is look for events, look for college uh, I don't know what you'd call them. We used to have seminar sessions every month at UT Austin, and there'd be speakers who are leaders in the industry to come and talk to us. And those kind of opportunities are fantastic, to sort of project yourself, be seen. So if you plan these kind of opportunities carefully, attending seminars, you have to make sure that you're attending events and opportunities to contact with people who can make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think this is good. Again, I'll ask Ganesh to talk to you directly to get more information, just in the interest of time. So, So in the last segment of our conversation, I'm going to ask you about 7 or 8 rapid fire questions. You don't have to think too much, but so it sort of comes out spontaneously. So let's start. 3 words that describe you.
I'm loving it.
I'm loving it. Okay, great, great. Your favorite teacher or professor at school or college that sort of influenced you?
Oh, school teachers, 2, 3 of them. Absolutely.
Anyone in particular, and why?
There was a biology teacher who told us, don't be a mad scientist. If we have time, I'll tell you what that story was, but it's a fascinating story. And if you want to see where a lot of our medical research is going, Ori, that's actually what's wrong with it. So,
Okay, great. A recent accomplishments beyond the obvious one that you've told, health and companies.
We are mentoring a group of girls. We have 60 scholars now from very, very remote villages like Latur. And one of them has got a fantastic job in Bangalore. And she made a breakthrough where she was able to improve formulation process efficiency from 70% to 99%. And she was still not happy. So, absolutely mind blowing. If we can, I'm going to call her on the 3rd when we meet. Absolutely mind blowing. And these people literally are from the back of beyond, uh, you know, uh, the village next to the village to get to a hometown. It's like 100 kilometers from Latur.
Wow, wow, wow.
Amazing.
Okay, next question. There are a bunch of questions, one or the other. Morning person or night person?
Night person trying to be a morning person.
I don't know. I don't know whether this question, but given everything that you've told about healthy eating, sweet or savory?
Fasting.
Why did I know that answer? Android or iPhone?
Oh, Android, definitely. I hate iPhones. My first job to pay for my master's was to debug code for Apple, and I said never again.
Okay.
It's some of the worst code that I've seen in my life.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee probably, but only 1 cup early morning, and there's a ritual to it. Yeah, coffee.
Great. Mountains or beaches?
Beaches.
Oh, comedy or drama?
Comedy. Just want a good laugh at the end of the day.
So speaking of like, what would your life movie title be?
Oh my God, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. Okay, don't worry. No. Any song in your head?
I suppose don't do this.
Don't do this.
Don't do like this.
Okay. Any song in your head?
There's actually a Marathi bhajan. I don't know. It's Manik Verma's. I forget the name. It's a Marathi abhang by Manik Verma.
Okay. If you had to choose from the ability to fly or ability to read people's mind, which would it be?
Oh my God! I don't want to read people's minds.
So you will fly.
Fly as far away as possible.
A superpower you would like?
Oh, to heal anybody in pain.
Oh, wow. I know you do. You've recently been somewhere. So what's your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, at home. Chilling at home.
I thought you were going to say this exotic place in Portugal.
No security queues, no airport delays. Just chill at home.
All right. And I guess the last one for the students and early professionals in our Mentor Connect, and any advice that you would give, especially like the one that Ganesh asked, which is sort of how do you balance health and work?
I think firstly, believe in yourself. The long and short of it, at 64, there are 2 things I realized. worrying doesn't make a damn difference. You can worry however much you want. What's going to happen is going to happen. So all the worrying is a waste of time. The second thing is whatever happens for the best. It only takes us 15, 20, 30 years to realize that. And when we look back, everything that has gone wrong has actually been for the best.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Thank you so much. This was a fascinating talk. So many things that we covered. We'll be looking forward to more conversations later
Lovely.
with you, Ashok, in the various sessions that we meet. Shamim and Ganesh, thank you for joining and asking the questions.